We're going to talk about a flipped or blended classroom, and this is really and truly just my experience, what I have learned and want to share with you. I'm not an expert at this at all, but hopefully it will help somebody out there. To get started, you need to pick one lesson and make your first video. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be great. This is my third year with this, and I can tell you I'm much better this year than I was my first year. I use the Smart Notebook software to create a template for my video. You can actually use anything that you want, because when you actually record your video, you're going to be recording what is on the computer screen. So anything that you want to have on there, you certainly may do so. If I want to show my students how to do something on the calculator, I simply open that on my desktop, and we'll do this later, and there it is. So I can show them how to do something on the calculator, and it just simply records it on the video. Okay? If I want to insert a video, I can do that. If I want to show them something in the textbook, I can do that. And whatever I have on here, if I want to flip a page, that just goes right with them. Whatever is showing on my screen is what I'm going to record. So the options are endless with what you can do with this. The program that I'm using to record this is called Screencast-O-Matic. It is free. You can also upgrade to a higher version. It's not very expensive at all. There are others out there. Again, I use this because I'm comfortable with it. It is easy for me to use. But again, I would check out screencast-o-matic.com, and basically it's as simple as opening the program. Opening this, you'll see this there's a dotted screen around the edge here. I don't know if you can see that right now, but it's like a little dotted area, and whatever is inside there is what is recording. All right? Once you've recorded your video and you're happy with it, now if you can edit your video. There's lots of times I'll be making a video and something will happen. Somebody will come to the door, the dog will start barking, or I'll be interrupted, or I'll make a mistake, and sometimes I just let the mistakes fly. Other times they're big enough that I go back and correct them. You can actually go back and play the video and stop it and truncate it and start recording again at that point. I upload my video to YouTube, and I also upload it to my Google Drive just as a backup, so I have it 2 different places. YouTube seems to be a favorite. Now, some people use VideoMen, any place that uploads them, but I just find that YouTube is user-friendly. The format is such that you can use it in lots of things. Did you just hear that bell ring? See, I might go back and redo that, but probably not. The next decision is how are you going to deliver your video to your students. You can simply share the link on YouTube if you want to just watch it. But I found my first year that the big thing was accountability for them watching the video. If I just had the video there for them and shared it with them, some would watch it, some would not. So last year I used a site called educanon.com. And here's the information. I actually set up a test class, and this is the code for it. But that's what I did, is I set up each one of my classes. I got the code. I shared it with my students. They went on to educanon.com and put in that code, and they were automatically entered. Now, educanon.com is great because it allows you to insert questions. It also lets you monitor the class, so I could click on there and click on a class, and they call them bulbs instead of videos, but I could see which students watched it. I could see their responses to my questions, and I would look at that before they came into class. So that accountability was there, and I would take points off if they did not watch the video. This year I'm using Zaption.com, and again, it allows you to do the same thing. You upload the video. They call them tours here. So there were bulbs and educanon.com. Zaption calls them tours. But I upload my video from YouTube, and then I play it and I stop it. I like Zaption because I think it gives me more options for asking questions. I can ask multiple choice, free response, numerical, all kinds of things. I also have the ability to look into the analytics and see who watched it, when they watched it, how long they watched it, what their responses were. I understand that Zaption is supposed to speak to my Canvas, so I'm new at this. I'm going to figure that one out, but I also noticed that educator.com also speaks to many of the system management things now also. But basically, you download your video, stop the video at certain points, insert your questions, and then you share that link with your students, however you do it, through email. I post mine in Canvas as an assignment, and I just attach the link to it so that they just click on there and it takes them right there. In both cases, the students have to go to the site and sign up. And in both cases, it gives you a code to use. So here's a code that I have. I also have a link that I can share with people if I wanted to share it with a colleague or something like that. I could send them a link rather than setting up a class and having them join a class. So once you have your video made, the idea of the flipped or blended classroom is that the instruction is delivered at home via a video or outside of class with a video. Now, I did find that the first couple videos I did in class with my students, showed them how they could pause the video, they can rewind the video. If they missed something, they can go back. I had students last year tell me that especially on concepts that were hard, they would watch a video 5 or 6 times, that their family would sit there and watch the video together, which was not what I intended, but still, it is not that you are not teaching. You are definitely teaching. They're just getting to see the lesson before they come in class. And then your teaching in class, instead of being lecture in front of the class, is more hands-on, individualized, student to student, teacher to student. My students sit in small groups and we do things. So some of the programs that I use are Pear Deck, which is a very good interactive program where students can respond as it's being displayed. They love Kahoot.it. You go to createkahoot.it and they love that. Now there's some on there that are already made, so you can borrow someone else's to use, or you can create your own. It's not that difficult to do, but the kids can play on either their phones or their computers or their iPads, whatever it is they want to do. This is a new one, and I don't know how you say it, QUIA, and it is actually linked with the IXL learning material. I played a game with them at the beginning of this year that was kind of like a Jeopardy game. I think they call it a challenge board, but it was just 2 students. So my students were paired up, and it goes back and forth between the 2, and they compete with each other. And you can create your own, so it could be like a review for a test. I use worksheets in class. I've got a bunch of worksheets that I use that have like silly little sayings and stuff like that so that they know right away that they're getting them right. We did an activity in class where they had like a bunch of expressions on their table, and they had to find the 4 expressions that were all the same. So what I mean is, like, one of them would have been the very beginning of the problem, and it would have the distributed property in it. The next, another one would be after they had distributed the number. One would be where they've combined like terms, and one would be the actual solution or the value of it. And they had to put those together, and there was a set of 10 of them, and it took 4 to put together. So they had to figure out which ones went together, make a pile, and put it to the side. And there was a competition in the class to see who could get the 10 sets together first. You can do activities where you have a whiteboard and you're just putting questions up and they're answering on the whiteboard. I call it showdown. And they flip their answers up and we look around, and if everybody at the table gets it right, lots of times they'll jump up and give each other a high five. If they don't get it right, then the challenge is for them to figure out what it is that they got wrong. I do a lot of the Kagan activities. So you want to split it up. You want to make it active in your classroom. But there are days that I can get the kids to do 40 to 50 problems in a class period, whereas if I had given them 40 to 50 problems to do as homework, they would have flipped a gasket. The reason that I did this to begin with was because if they were going to have questions and issues, I wanted it to happen in my classroom. I like to make my videos under 10 minutes, so there we go.